The colony ship Prometheus had crashed on Draca 7 3 generations ago, and humanity had learned to survive among the natives. The Draken were magnificent creatures, scaled, winged beings who soared through crystalline skies and built cities in the floating mountains. They were also ruthlessly pragmatic. Kathleen had been born wrong. She crouched in the shadow of the outer ridge, her single wing folded against her back, her remaining leg tucked beneath her. The prosthetic the human engineers had made for her left leg lay discarded nearby. She'd removed it to feel the cold stone against her scales, to remember what real sensation felt like. Her right wing had been torn away in the same accident that took her leg when she was barely a hatchling. The Draken elders had declared her Haskar incomplete, unworthy of the sky. The settlement below bustled with activity. Draken younglings practiced aerial maneuvers while their parents watched with pride. Human colonists worked alongside them, their ground-bound existence no longer seen as inferior but simply different. Everyone had a place. Everyone except Kathleen. You're watching them again. She didn't turn at the voice. Jacob always approached quietly, though his human scent warm bread and metal polish announced him long before his words did. I like to imagine, Kathleen said, her voice carrying the harmonic undertone of her species, what it would be like. Jacob settled beside her, groaning slightly as he sat. He was older for a human, his dark hair streaked with silver, his face lined with the kind of weathering that spoke of hard years. A small human child, barely 5 standard years, clung to his back like a baby Draken daddy. Is she the dragon lady you help? The boy asked. That's right, Tommy, this is Kathleen. Kathleen, my son, is being rude. Tommy, what do we say? Hello, Miss Kathleen. The child's enthusiasm was infectious. Despite herself, Kathleen's lips curved upward, revealing rows of crystalline teeth. Hello, small human. Jacob had appeared in her life 6 months ago. A widower, a father, a mechanic who worked on the atmospheric processes that kept the human sections of the colony habitable. He'd found her trying to scavenge parts from a junkyard, struggling to balance on her single leg while clutching salvage in her claws. Most would have chased her off. The Drakens certainly had, unwilling to let a Haskar shame them by scavenging, but Jacob had simply asked, "What are you building?" "A wing," she'd answered, too tired to lie. Jacob hadn't laughed, hadn't pitied. He'd simply nodded and said, "I can help with that." Now, Tommy squirmed free from his father's back and approached Kathleen with the fearlessness only children possessed. "Daddy says you're gonna fly. Is it true?" Kathleen's throat tightened. She glanced at Jacob, who met her gaze steadily. "Your father is optimistic. Your father is stubborn," Jacob corrected with a slight smile. "There's a difference. Tommy, show her what we brought." The boy produced a datapad, his small fingers dancing across the screen with practiced ease. An image materialized, a holographic schematic rotating in the air between them. It was a wing, not organic, but a beautiful fusion of Draken bioengineering and human mechanical innovation. "This," Jacob said, leaning forward, "is 3 months of work. I consulted with Dr. Yashiro on the neural interface, and Elder Sharethius that Shareth provided the scaling algorithm for the flight dynamics." Kathleen stared at the design. It was elegant, functional, impossible. "Elder Shareth thinks I'm Haskar." "She wouldn't. She thinks the concept of Haskar is bullshit," Jacob interrupted, his language crude but effective. Her words, not mine. Apparently, she lost her tail in a territorial dispute 70 years ago and the other elders tried to ground her. She told them, and I quote, "I'll die in the sky or not at all." "I never knew," Kathleen whispered. "No one talks about it. Pride, tradition, all that." Jacob waved a hand dismissively. "But humans, we've been overcoming our limitations since we figured out how to sharpen sticks. You think losing a leg stops us? We build new ones. You think we can't fly? We build ships that pierce the void between stars. That's what we do, Kathleen. We adapt. We overcome. We refuse to accept what we're told we can't do." "Why?" The question escaped before she could stop it. "Why help me?" Jacob was quiet for a moment, watching Tommy chase a native insect through the grass. When he spoke, his voice was soft. "Because Tommy's mother died in the crash that brought us here. Because I had to teach him that losing something doesn't mean losing everything. Because every morning he asks me if today's the day Miss Kathleen flies. And I refuse to let him grow up in a world where the answer is no." He turned to face her fully. "And because you remind me that courage isn't the absence of fear or limitation, it's moving forward despite them." Kathleen felt something crack inside her chest, something that had calcified years ago, and she asked, "A wing, 2 weeks for fabrication, another week for integration and neural mapping." Then Jacob grinned, and it transformed his weathered face into something younger, wilder. Then we find out if a human engineer and a stubborn dragon girl can tell the universe to fuck off. Tommy gasped. Daddy said a bad word. Don't tell him I said that, Jacob stage whispered. For the first time in years, Kathleen laughed. It started as a rumble in her chest and emerged as a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Tommy laughed too, delighted, and even Jacob's stoic expression cracked into genuine mirth. 3 weeks later, Kathleen stood at the edge of the outer ridge. The mechanical wing sat against her shoulder. Its neural interface merged seamlessly with her nervous system. It felt right. Complete. Below, a crowd had gathered Draken and humans alike. Elder Shareth stood at the front, her own scarred form proof that survival was its own form of perfection. Jacob stood beside Kathleen, Tommy on his shoulders. You don't have to do this, Jacob said quietly. Kathleen extended both wings, one flesh, one fusion of metal and synthetic scale. They caught the light, scattering rainbows across the stone. Yes, she said. I do. She stepped forward. And jumped. For one terrifying moment, there was only falling. Then instinct merged with engineering. Organic met synthetic, and her wings caught the thermal up. She soared, clumsy at first, then stronger, higher, until the colony was a patchwork below and the sky was infinite above. From the ground, she heard Tommy's voice, crystal clear and jubilant. She's flying. Daddy, she's flying. And Jacob's response, thick with emotion. Yeah, buddy, she sure is. Kathleen spiraled higher, embracing the sky that had been denied her, carried aloft by human stubbornness and the simple, radical belief that no one should be alone. Haskar, she thought, banking into a dive that made her heart sing. Incomplete. She was complete enough.